I started Mentoria about 10 years ago with a very simple mission, which is how do we transform India and then the world and make it an immensely happy place to live in by ensuring that millions of students as well as working professionals are guided towards careers that they absolutely love. The recognition was that most human beings do not like the jobs that they're in, do not like the careers that they're in, do not like the education paths they're in, and therefore operate at a suboptimal level of productivity, go on to live relatively unhappy, frustrated, miserable lives throughout the course of their career journeys. And the entire sort of vision was, how do we change that? How do we ensure that millions of people absolutely adore the work that they're doing such that they wake up every morning feeling positive and passionate about going to work? Anybody who thrives in this industry gets in because of the mindset of wanting to create social transformation or impact, gets in because of the recognition of the large social problem that we are facing with millions of kids being unhappy, frustrated, dissatisfied with their career paths, millions of working professionals hating their jobs and wanting to change that. It is only out of that passion that people actually get into this industry to say, I want to transform lives on a daily basis. I want to help people live a happier version of themselves on a daily basis. I want to help them get into good and positive careers and help them grow on a day to day basis. Whether it's students or working professionals, doesn't matter. Because the truth is that India is facing a massive problem. The quantum or the sheer number of students facing immense amount of unhappiness, frustration and anxiety is disillusioning. We have 1 in 4 teenagers in India today that are suffering from depression, according to the UNICEF. That's millions of kids going through an acute amount of frustration, anxiety, unhappiness, and not knowing what to do with it. Given the severe shortage of mental health professionals in our country and the big social stigma against mental health, either this problem goes unnoticed or untreated and only accumulates over the course of time, yielding in challenges that are far, far more severe. For example, according to the National Crime Records Bureau, we have 34 teenagers that commit suicide on a daily basis in India. That's more than one child every hour telling himself or herself that life is just not worth living anymore. With places like Kota becoming the suicide capital of our country. It's an important question to ask ourselves that if millions of parents want good things for their kids, millions of educators want good things for their kids, want the kids to be happy and successful and grow in their lives, why is it that every hour more than one child decides they don't want to live anymore and reach such a point of hopelessness that they just want to end their lives? Kids who've barely seen anything of life. Where is all of this pressure, this anxiety, this frustration coming from? And one of the biggest factors causing this is incorrect career or educational choices. As you can see, 47% of Indian kids have experienced depression due to career related stress. And still, only under 20% of schools in India have access to some form of career counseling. I don't call that career counseling because most schools do very transactional, surface level, checklist career counseling, which can't even be called career counseling because some person will come and conduct some unreliable aptitude tests in a school. Kids will get some form of report, there'll be some group counseling session for everybody, and that's about it. No independent guidance, mentorship, hand-holding, support, admission planning, thought in context of how is the future of work changing. None of that. Just as a checklist activity, chalo, let's get it done. That's how most schools operate their career counseling services, even the 20% of the ones that have it. Which is quite evidently why 70% of kids in our country are unsure what they want to do after graduation. Fortunately, the National Education Policy and the National Career Guidance Framework that Mentoria actually helped draft for the Indian government is trying to change this at a policy level. But Nobody is going to be able to change this at a policy level should we not build the right infrastructure for that change. And this issue of incorrect career decision making has been happening for generations, which is why the working professionals in our country are also going through deep disengagement. According to Assocham and Monster, 55% of India's workforce hate their jobs. They wake up every morning and go to work only because दो वक्त की रोटी कमानी है, not because they feel really passionate and joyful about going to work. Ask yourselves, when was the last time you met a friend or a colleague or an employee who really loved their job? And how rare is finding such people? According to Gallup, a study was done in 2024 that shared that 86% of Indian white collared employees who are in their 0 to 10 years of experience are looking at quitting their jobs in the next year, year and a half because they find no purpose or meaning or happiness at the workplace. The era where people worked just because they needed a job, because they needed to pay their bills is over. Because we don't live in a world of scarcity anymore. Gen Z, Gen Alpha, they live in a world of abundance, of opportunities, of information, where they're prioritizing their mental health, they're prioritizing their career happiness, they're prioritizing liking the work that you're doing on a day to day basis. And which is why organizations are seeing such high attrition at at an individual contributor or a junior employee level, because people are finding what is it that they love to do. You see Indian corporates losing $10 billion annually because of the wrong hires. And that's just one part of the problem, right? The unhappiness and the disengagement. The other part of the problem that is going to completely change the game is automation, artificial intelligence, and virtual reality, where millions of jobs are going to be lost because of artificial intelligence, right? In case you don't believe me, here's something for you to see already. AI layoffs have begun across organizations, where organizations are recognizing because of AI, because of agentic AI, a large segment of the work that people used to do, now AI and AI agents can do. Which is why organizations across the world are looking at laying off working professionals within that are just redundant,
Amit from my
right?
team is in
We're
charge of
seeing
the chat
routine
box
jobs
and the
being
polls. Amit,
automated
request you
across
to read out
industries.
some of
We're
the
seeing
introductions of the
hiring has
people who
slowed
have
down,
joined us here
especially of
today.
fresh talent. You see, even institutions like a Harvard that couldn't place 23% of its MBA students, you see all the IIMs struggling with placements, right? You see traditional career ladders collapsing. You see 69% of white collar jobs being disrupted because of AI and agentic AI. Just about 12 months ago, the predictions were that software and IT jobs are going to double. The predictions were data analytics is going to be the next big thing. Management consulting jobs are growing. MBAs, damn good. Software engineers, fantastic, and so on and so forth. And then AI happened, and agents happened. And you see, whether it's software engineering, whether it's design, whether it's consulting, whether it's strategy, whether it's finance, every single kind of job is at risk today because there are so many tools and agents that are disrupting the future of work. Today, you can create your own mobile applications if you know how to do prompt engineering. Right. So, what are millions of people within these industries who are going to be completely redundant going to do with their work? How are they going to find jobs? How are they going to build relevance? And this is happening now as we speak, which is the AI career revolution. Have we ever thought about what are students who are still studying today and who are probably going to get into careers and jobs 3, 4, 5, 6 years later, where the world of work is going to be completely different? How are they going to make career decisions? Right? And how are working professionals who are going to be laid off in the millions going to figure out or navigate their pathways and context of their careers? without the help of career mentorship, without the help of career coaches who can help them navigate this labyrinth versus all of the current methods that people use of career decision making. Because today, most kids and working professionals make one of life's most important decisions, which is their career and their educational decisions, in extremely ridiculous methods. In this rapidly changing world that we're living in, people will still decide their careers basis parental pressure, basis peer pressure, academic scores, or some of the other kind of socio-cultural biases. Tell me, how many parents have any idea how is AI disrupting the future of work and what kind of jobs will exist and what kind of jobs won't? Or peers, or academics, or schools and colleges even today. And if they don't have that idea, how do you prepare the workforce of the future and guide them in the right direction? To add to that complexity, we have 12,000 different career paths to choose from. And I'm not making this number up. Over the course of the last 10 years, Mentoria has built a list of 12,603 different career options that exist for students to choose from. How do you choose one out of 12,000 and be damn sure that this is the right one? Supplement that with the fact that the cost of education is increasing exponentially year after year. Today, an MBA at ISB Hyderabad, an MBA for kids, not executive MBA, an MBA costs a person 60 lakh rupees for 2 years of education. 60 lakhs for 2 years of education. That's how rapidly cost of education is going up. Once a person is invested in that kind of education, it becomes completely improbable for them to change career paths because the only thing they focus on is ROI. Is am I getting the kind of earnings basis the kind of education? Because I have to pay off student debt, I have to pay off educational loans, I have to demonstrate ROI to my parents. Then suddenly career happiness and purpose and living a good life starts meaning lesser and lesser and lesser and lesser to people. Which is why making the right career decisions the first time that they make it is incredibly important. All right. So these are some very important caveats for all of us to think about and to say, okay, there are two clear audiences that emerge who need career guidance and mentorship, who need career coaching, who need help in navigating this maze, right? This clutter. One is students who are in class 8th to 12th in college, who have a range of different career decisions and choices to make, and no access to a mentor that will guide them throughout this journey. Which is, what subjects do I choose? What educational streams do I choose? What kind of entrance exams do I prepare for? What kind of colleges do I prepare for? What kind of bachelor's degrees are going to be relevant for me in the way the future of work is evolving? If there is a AI university which is part of UPES, can I join that? If there are courses in drone engineering, if there are courses in AI research, can I potentially get into those? What specialization should I choose in college? How do I choose these specializations? After I complete my bachelor, should I get into a job immediately? Should I do a master's immediately? Should I intern? If I do my master's, should I do it in India or outside India? And given the sheer geopolitical tensions all across the world and how kids are being driven out of foreign universities, which part of the world should I even study in? Which part of the world will I get a job in after I study? Because if I study in the UK, if I study in the US, getting a job is going to be next to impossible. Anywhere in Europe, getting a job is going to be next to impossible. So, where do I study? And if in India, again, what specialization do I pursue in my master's? So many different choices that are generally made last minute by fate instead of informed scientific career decision making. Without any mentorship, without all kinds of misinformation and bias, without any recognition of how the future of work is going to be. The second caveat or the second population that desperately seeks career guidance or mentorship are working professionals. People who are in their early stages of their careers, 0 to 10 years, 12 years, 15 years of experience, who are either stuck in the wrong job and now want to switch completely, or who have stopped growing because either they've become redundant or their skills aren't growing or something. They're stuck in their career. They want to make more money but are not making any more money. They want to grow in their designation but are not getting the growth and the promotions that they want. So they seek help in context of how do they navigate their growth journeys. And last but not the least are independent job seekers. Most people in our country have zero idea how to look for jobs. They don't know how to make their CVs, they don't know how to make their LinkedIn profiles, don't know how to represent themselves, sell themselves, write cover letters, manage their application processes, and so on and so forth. Which is why everybody just desperately tries to get any job that comes their way instead of going after their dream job. So, a lot of independent job seekers seek help of career coaches to say, boss, how can I find my dream job? What is the right way to find my dream job? Right? Of course, there are also a lot of sub-segments, right, which are smaller but they exist. For example, army veterans who want to start their second innings after spending 30 years in the army want to switch to corporate. A lot of working women who take maternity breaks and want to get back into the workforce settle for really odd jobs with low paying salaries because they don't have any career guidance or mentorship that helps them figure out how to crack their transition back into the workforce. There are lots of such subsegments that exist that also need mentorship. But if I were to only focus on two of the largest markets, which is students and early working professionals, in front of you, I have presented the size of the problem and therefore the size of the market and therefore the size of the opportunity for all of us. Today in India, we've got 186 million kids in class 8th to 12th and college alone. Not younger, not older, class 8th to 12th or college. 19 million kids get added to class 9 every single year. That's 18.6 crore kids who will need career guidance or mentorship. Right? 1.9 crore kids that get added to this lot every year. We've got 30 million early working professionals in our country. 30 million in 0 to 10 years of experience, all white collared, making this a $4.5 to $6 billion industry. That's billion with a B in purely India. Now, in the last decade, we already have 3.5 lakh users on our platform, students and working professionals who leverage our platform, our technology, our assessments, our counseling, our content, our handholding to get into the right careers and educational paths. Right? 220 different corporates from a PepsiCo to a Britannia to a Marico, ITC, L&T, Wipro, Cisco, different kinds of companies work with Mentoria to sponsor our career guidance and mentorship program for their employees' children. So the CHROs, the HR teams, the L&D teams, the engagement teams work with us to say, can we engage our employees meaningfully by reducing their stress? So any employee who has a child in class 8th through 12th or college, the company will sponsor career counseling and mentorship for that child as an employee benefit, right? So 220 odd organizations work with us to ensure that career guidance isn't a luxury of the privileged and people across socioeconomic backgrounds get access to good quality career guidance and mentorship is why we also work with 17 governments, foundations and NGOs, and through them thousands of government schools in the most rural parts of India. So the platform or the solution that we've created is multilingual to ensure that people who are blue collared, underprivileged, any socioeconomic background they come from, they have access to career mentorship. Right? We also work with 139 Army public schools across the country because the Army Welfare Education Society has chosen Mentoria to revolutionize career counseling for 60,000 kids and 139 Army public schools across the country. Right? We are the official partner of the Army Welfare Education Society. So that's the kind of brand and foundation we have been building over the course of the last decade. That's the kind of technology we've been building over the kind of course of the last decade. So these kinds of institutions trust us to deliver value. Right? Now it's very important for you to understand what is the solution. How does it work? How do we help students and working professionals get clarity? Because what the platform that we've built is a 4 stage or 4 step platform. that helps both students and professionals to discover themselves, discover their future worlds, and then mentor them for 6 to 8 years in their journey of career discovery.